I'm sure most of you watching this are well aware that, I do my best to maintain a daily upload schedule. The only times that it drops off is when, events are busy, BRO, Shadowverse, WGP, all that kind of stuff. But, I really do try my best. I really do try my best. But yesterday, it just so happened that for a good 7-8 hours, the 0JP servers exploded and you could connect to the game. You could, in fact, you could connect, but you couldn't do any character fights, so your stamina was screwed. You couldn't do any event fights, so if you had a boost skin, you were screwed. And you couldn't do rank fights, which meant that you can't make use of the fact that we have the rank fight week going on right now, as they're announcing in-game. I think there's a notification for it. Yeah, you see that? See this rank fight week in the bottom left? What's this rank fight week when we can't even connect, man? Luckily, they fixed it eventually and it was fine. They're extending the character fight stuff for the clan event, and they're redoing the boost skin days, and they're also extending the rank fight week as well by a day. So it's fine, right? We got the compensation, but of course the only compensation we got otherwise was some stamina, I think. And a lot of people were like, why don't you give me packs? Why don't you give us gems? Why don't you give us stuff that's worth money? Blah blah blah. But for me, it just meant that the video that was meant to come out yesterday is coming out today instead. But anyway, enough rambling about Game Studio and Zero. Let's take a look at the first of many Dimension Please decks that we'll be covering over the coming videos, which is of course Metalborgs, which is arguably the best one. And also, as you probably have guessed, by today being the 23rd of December, there's no way in hell that I'm going to get all the deck and fights for set 3 plus Fighters Collection out within December, and so a lot of these will leak into January, but I'll do my best in January, because after BRO standard is over, my schedule does start to relax a little bit, and so I think I'll try to make use of whatever time I have to kind of push these out, maybe every day even, and try to when I have to do a TCG video, just do double uploads and stuff like that. So for the Zero folks that watched and enjoy the Zero content, please do come through for it, because I think this will also be my personal test for the channel to see if, how much can my viewers keep up with the amount of content that I have to do right now. But anyway, let's get into the deck. Enough rambling. I've been talking too much for the start of this video. Let's talk about the actual deck that we're going to be playing today. So of course, Best Girl Tomari will be representing Metalborgs. Now, Metalborgs, as you can already judge by the starter, my build might be a little bit different from what you're used to seeing, and I want to break it down in detail to explain my card choices here and there so that it is straightforward for everyone to understand. So first things first, the main card is still Sinbuster, which is our main Legion. He Legions with Urbuster, and when he attacks the Vanguard, if he's in Legion state, if his power is 30k or higher, including boost for that battle, when your opponent would Perfect Guard, then they have to randomly discard a grade 3 or higher from their hand. If they can't, then they cannot Perfect Guard. And when he attacks the Vanguard, if his power, including the boost, is 20k or higher, you draw 1. So you mainly care about the second skill, just to draw extra cards. You don't have to be in Legion for it, so you can just power up and swing even going first. And then when your opponent's at 5, then you can kind of, you don't have any counterblast, you can rely on the first skill, right? So that's kind of how this works. We have a backup Legion in the Dryon. So Dryon is when he attacks Vanguard if he's in Legion, if his power is 30k or higher, including the boost. For that battle, gains a crit and the following ability. When the attack hits, choose opponent's rear guard and retire it. And if you have another unit in the middle column, he also gets plus 3k. So he's not that great. Instead, we'd run 4 of the Ballangrader, who says count +1, soul +1 on Vanguard Circle. You search your deck for a card with the Legion ability and essentially write it, and then give you that Vanguard plus 3k. So you usually want to search the Sinbuster, so this way he's an extra 4 copies of Sinbuster, and he has a really good rearguard ability that if your Vanguard is a Metalborg, you soul +1 and give himself plus 2k. So this way you can empty your soul and have enough for the Legion. And of course, 4 Heal Guardians, and they're good. We don't need too many grade 3s in this deck, so that's fine. Now, the reason why I went through the grade 3s first, because I want to talk about the starter. The starter I chose to play this time is Metalborg Black Boy. Now, he says he's a Forerunner, and counterblast 2 and put 4 Metalborg rearguards into your soul. If you do, you search your deck for a grade 3 card that Legions, well, it doesn't say grade 3, but you search your deck for a card that Legions with your current grade 2 Vanguard, and you ride it Legion from soul and then draw 2. Now, why am I not running the Resist starter? The reason why is because this starter is not a good card, but it comes up when you get rushed, and it elevates your ceiling so high, in my opinion, in being able to have the bonus effect of your first stride. Because think about it this way, right? Let's say you are going first. So you ride grade 1, right? You ride grade 1, and going first, you cannot stride until your turn 4. So you ride grade 1, pass. Your opponent goes, okay, ride grade 1, and then call grade 1, and push the opponent to 2 for whatever reason, you ride Urbuster, use this guy, go into Sinbuster, Legion. If you had extra Urbusters, you can even like use their skills to like retire whatever your opponent put down there too. And you are now in Legion, which means you're drawing cards back from Sinbuster's skill for free because you got some power from whatever, right? Or you're hitting for 20k already because you're in Legion. And then next when your opponent rides grade 2, then he comes back to you, you can't stride, but you're still in Legion, so you're still drawing cards. And the next turn, your opponent finally goes to grade 3 and strides, and then it comes back to you and you stride. Going second, you can, for example, ride up swing, and then they go to grade 2, and usually they're gonna push you on grade 2, right? So then you'd be thinking, okay, I'm going to ride grade 2, and I'm going to wait the next turn, then I'm going to be able to stride anyway. But the thing is, your opponent's going to ride grade 3, and their first grade 3 turn won't be a stride turn. So what you can do is still go into grade 2, you can go Urbuster, use the starter, go into the Sinbuster with the Legion, and then again, draw cards, and then the next turn, your opponent's on grade 3 while you're on grade 3, but they can't stride, but you will be able to stride next turn immediately into the Heavy Duke and use his full ability. Now, yes, you lose out on the power and the resist of the other starter, but like, I'd rather have this be a dead card in 80% of my games on the board, but still be a good 5k booster, but play it for the 20% of games where that skill matters. And yes, Counterblast 2 is expensive, we CB a lot in this deck, but we have countercharging PGs now, which make that a little bit better. And on top of that, playing a Legion deck means that you are going to see heals more often by default. Therefore, I think it is worth trying. I personally have been mostly playing with this starter. I tried the other one too, and I really do prefer this starter overall because of that upper ceiling that you can have in like your 20% of games. So what can we actually slide into the Soul? Well, of course, we have the Metalborg Yunbot. So he's on Place Trigger Circle. If your Vanguard is a Metalborg, count +1, give your Vanguard the following skill. When the attack is the Vanguard, draw 1, and if you're in Legion state, countercharge 1. So if you swing twice with Vanguard, then of course that can do some cool things. And then also play 2 of the Deathblade, which is on play Soul +1, and choose another unit, give it +5k power. I still play, of course, countercharging PGs, which are good, and also 3 stride followers, because striding is pretty important in this deck because, you are going, like, you rely on the stride on a regular game where you don't use a starter quite a lot, and you only play 9 grade 3, so I think it's quite important. Then for the grade 2s, of course, we have the Urbuster. When you Legion, while he's on rearguard circle, for that turn your Vanguard is +4k, and the following ability, when it attacks the Vanguard, retire an opponent's rearguard. So nice little control. 1 10k vanilla just because it's 10k vanilla, but it has a Metalborg name. 12k attackers, again, if you have a Metalborg Vanguard, 12k attacker. And then the grade 2 that is on place rearguard circle, count +1, give your Vanguard +4k. If it's in Legion, give it another 4k. So just using this, like going first once, will push the Sinbuster to 20k without Legion, which is pretty important. So we do actually want to see this card for that going first turn 3. Now, which strider we want to mostly go into? Of course, it is the Heavy Duke. So he says when he attacks the Vanguard, if your heart is a Metalborg, you can count +2 for the follow, and for that battle gain the following ability. When the attack hits anything, for each of your heart cards, draw 1. And then for that battle, when your opponent would perfect guard, they have to discard randomly a grade 3 or higher, or otherwise they cannot perfect guard. And then if you have 2 heart cards, which means that if the thing under him is a Legion, then for that battle he gains a crit. The only way to gain that crit is either to spend a turn Legioning or to use a starter, right, in order to go into that extra crit, and the extra crit is really important. One important thing, if you do want to play a build with Laurel, the on hit to draw for every heart doesn't have to hit Vanguard. So you can go use the skill, like this has to attack the Vanguard in order to actually like activate the skill, but you can, let's say your opponent has like no intercepts, right, or you attack into intercept with what, your grade 2, and then they have nothing left, so you swing face for the first effect and hit and draw 2 from that counterblast, but because you have to attack the Vanguard to get the proc. But then after you restand with Laurel, you can swing to the rear like a grade 1 or a grade 3 in the front to still get the on hit draw 2, which is really good. So keep that in mind if you do play Laurel. Like I play a more like very like pure like Metalborg list, so that's why I don't run it right now, but it's definitely viable. Like it's a cool choice. But this is like our best stride. We always want to be going into the Heavy Duke because of the draw, the crit, the guard pressure. It has everything basically. For the Link Joker matchups where we need our front row, Harmonix Messiah, when you stride it, you can choose any number of your locked cards and unlock them, but then for every unlocked unit you have to discard 1. So keep that in mind. It is a trade-off, but usually only unlock like 1 or 2. Then we play 2 Medews. Medew says when placed, if your heart's total power is 10k or lower, then you can choose a grade 3 from your drop zone and add it to your hand. Interesting thing is when you stride this over a Legion, the game will automatically, like, even though it takes the 11k power of your grade 3, it will look at the grade 2 and look like, oh, you have a Vanguard with 9k power, you can have a grade 3 back. So this is really good in just like recycling. Like, you can discard a Sin Buster and then bring it back, and the next turn if you're like close to deck out, just Legion and things like that, or if you have like 4 heals in drop or something like that. So Medu is really good. We go into a couple times, and then 1x Tiger just for like kind of pushing the power ceiling. When it attacks, you flip a G unit face up, and then for every face up G unit in your G zone, he gets plus 4k power, and then if his power including the boost is 45k or greater, he gets a crit. So we only go into this like a finisher stride if we didn't manage to kill with everything else, or if we know that all the PGs are out, so it's okay. And then finally one of the X Rogue, which is on hit Vanguard. If the power is 37k or higher including boost, you can draw one and choose an opponent's back row random rearguard and retire it. So pretty rarely go into this because the power, like, it's kind of hard to reach the 37k power in this build specifically, but it's still a fine card to run. You can also run a second X Tiger if you want, or another Medu if you want, or a fourth Heavy Duke that you won't really go into, but it's still an option. So it took a while to explain this deck, so let's get into some games and play it. I've been really enjoying this build myself. I think it's honestly the best of the like 3 current DP decks in the meta, because of course the other ones are basically like True Daikaiser, which runs like 13 grade 3, so you lose out on heal guards, and then there's also Enigman, which is cool for the restand pressure, but it kind of lacks in the power department and ends up not really doing much with that restand pressure, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still a pretty cool archetype that definitely has some viable usage. But of course here we're going to be playing against Royals, which is pretty interesting. Going second though, which means that, you know, it's going to depend on how our opponent is going to play that early game with us. A big Kai fan as well, always nice to see. Now opening Urbuster is very important, so we want to keep that. Other grade 2s we could toss, or we can keep for like, you know, the starter skill if we need to rely on it, but generally speaking you don't need to like actively rely on it like that. So instead we just put back 2, get a PG into hand, which of course will be important because we don't know which version of Royals this is. It could be MLB for all we know, right? We don't want to get randomly just like sacked by MLB and die. I think this is Seekers actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is Seekers, okay. That's quite interesting. We'll see what kind of build of Seekers this is. We'll say hello, as my opponent said hello. We ride the Stride Fodder because we now have multiple grade 3s in hand, so it's not really that much of an issue. And of course we can also turbo into Legion now, because of course we also have, you know, just the whatchamacallit, Baron Grader, in order to like search out the Sin Buster, and then after searching it out we can call the other copy in order to like fill up our drop zone and do our stuff, right? So going second, whether it's Legion or Stride, like honestly Legioning first is better. What is my man doing here? The thing is, now I'm actually missing 1 Metalborg. I need to draw into 1 more grade 2 or lower Metalborg. We'll see if we hit it. The Yunball would have been really good, but see, like, they do rush. They see the starter and they still rush, and we do top deck a Metalborg, so this will be pretty big for us, because now we can, sure, we lose 2 of our intercepts, but we're going to be drawing back cards like crazy. So I'm going to make full use of this, because of course, you know, pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. Like, I didn't expect the starter skill to actually come up in this matchup, but as you can see, you just Superior Ride, you Legion, and then you draw 2. So your hand gets replenished and everything, so it's just a good time overall. Sugoi desu, indeed it is sugoi desu. So next turn we kind of need 2 CB. We can call this down because we don't really need to use it now for quite a while, and we can just push him to 3, so that way we can go into the Heavy Duke with the crit pressure already next turn, which is really nice. We get the drawback already, so the units are coming back. We check a heal, we haven't seen one yet, so that's also good, and this way we will have our damage face up in order to use the Heavy Duke as well. So next time my opponent needs to put up like 2 intercepts, otherwise we're pushing him to 5. And if he puts up 2 intercepts, we're pushing him to 5. If he doesn't, then might be dead. Might be straight up just dead. Our opponent is, of course, they cannot stride, even though we're both at grade 3 here. The rules for stride in 0 mean that the player going first cannot stride until their turn 4. He hits a crit, which honestly I don't think he wanted to, especially with no intercepts. I can just clean up house with Heavy Duke over here. We check another heal, unfortunately this one will not pop. And then a nice little what is it, Yunbot, right? It's Yunbot, yeah. Alright, anyway, we don't need to worry about Legion costs or anything, just go into Heavy Duke and roll all over our opponent over here. Feels weird saying that, but you know what I mean. Alright, here we go, Mr. Heavy Duke coming through. One of the best DP strides right now. So what we draw into another PG, which is good. Kind of want to just put down the intercept on the Yunbot and then just like swing face. Kind of want to keep the grade 3s for later as well. Don't need to use the skills, of course. We need to save the CB for this. I will take the L on, you know, whiffing a heal for the sake of trying to win the game. I think that is a good trade-off, if you will. So we just go into the battle phase here. No heals. And now we're going to try to see if we can top deck, well, top deck any triggers. So here's like 2 crit with a guard restrict. I'm going to give the first power to the Vanguard because this way we bypass the heal guardian and he has to have a PG and basically lose 2 cards from hand in order to actually guard this. So I think that's quite good. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have the grade 3 to discard, I assume. There is a draw trigger coming through, so let's see if he still sees a 6 damage heal or not. He does not, and that is a very quick and snappy game 1. Like, basically showing you why. Like, if we didn't use a starter there, we would have had to spend a turn, like, on this turn where we spent the turn to kill, we would have had to spend that turn on the Legion and then just to draw cards, which would have given him the time to build up momentum to potentially find PGs, find grade 3s to discard, find heal triggers, etc. But instead, we turboed our way through. He crit me, gave me the 2 CB I needed, and that was it. That's all she wrote. Let's see. Ooh! Haruki. Alright, so this is going to be a mirror match, I think. This should be a Metalborg mirror, which is quite interesting, kind of funny. Didn't expect to run into it. Hand is actually quite decent. We want to keep the PG again going second. I think my opponent's gonna be very cautious of the starter now because I'm sure he knows the full power and potential of it too, and he's running the resist one, which again I respect. I think that might still be the correct choice, but for me the high roll of running this starter is so insanely good that like I want to respect the high roll and play with that in mind too. So now we're going second, right? So you think like, oh, we need a Stride Fodder, but we need to spend our first turn on Legion anyway. So riding a Stride Fodder really ain't that bad. It's just for the later turns. Like, this is one of the decks that actually doesn't mind Legioning early, like Legioning before striding, because the DP strides outside of Dire-Earth, like, aren't good for the first stride turn. And, you know, for the Heavy Duke, he doesn't do much if you only have 1 heart. Like, you lose out on the crit, which is like, and you lose out on one of your draws too, so it's like, it's not really worth it in my opinion. Will he just swing? Will he just swing Laurel? Okay, he's just putting down the Laurel. Okay. He's not tempting fate, let's say. He's not tempting fate this time around. I respect it. I respect it. That being said, that is a retire target for me to set up for the turn after, which is also good for me, I suppose. I'm also gonna play a lame, slow early game. I don't have any intent of giving him too much CB, and I'd rather just heal down to 0. That is quite excellent. Because of course we only need like 1 CB at most. Like, we don't even need CB for the early turn. Because like, Sin Buster's 30k power thing doesn't matter at early damages, right? The guard restrict will not come into play. So one tip for you guys playing this deck, don't go for Sin Buster's 30k unless your opponent's at like 4, or then you play crits, or 5 and you're going for game, because it doesn't do anything otherwise. Like, save your CB for Heavy Duke, save your power-ups for when they matter. You know, don't burn them too early for no reason. Okay, our opponent is trying to make some magic numbers over here. He's going to turn this into a 22k line, which I respect. I think that's good. So he's going to push 2 damage to us here, which is fine. Like, that just equalizes the damage for us, and like, that way I'm in heal range for next turn, which is good. Alright, he checks 2 blanks. He does play the Laurel build, which I think is good. Like I mentioned during the explanation, you really do, like, you know, you could make a lot out of this Laurel. We whiff a heal, unfortunately, but that's okay. Honestly, I don't even mind it. Next turn, so here, do we have a form of Soul Blast? We actually don't, so we're gonna have to, no, actually we do. We have a grade 1. We have the grade 1 that can Soul Blast. Perfect. Perfect. So we do not stride. We're gonna take it easy, take it slow. No reason to overdo it in any shape or form. We can use the CB for a Unbot activation, I suppose. How will I want to push damage? I want to attack Vanguard first here, kind of, to be honest. Attack Vanguard first, so maybe like power up the column on this side with the Tiger dude. I could have actually should have Soul Blasted Stride Fodder. That was a misplay, but it's fine. Here we just Legion. So we Legion, and we're gonna get the retire skill from Urbuster now, which is good, so we can kind of control my opponent's board a little bit. And so I think with the Urbuster, I want to swing into rear, kind of like control his resources a bit. It is a trigger I'm putting down there for the Legion, but I honestly don't really mind. He's gonna reach the Legion no matter what, so I don't particularly care, personally speaking. And we're gonna use the Unbot here to make some draws happen, make some good draws happen, which is good. And I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to go. We're gonna draw a lot this turn. We're gonna be able to retire stuff as well, so it's pretty good. So we get to draw from the Sin Buster first into a grade 1, and then retire from the Urbuster, and then on hit we draw 1 more from the Unbot, and it also countercharges because It doesn't have a power threshold, right? Yeah, just B in Legion. Okay, then we can give it to the rear pretty safely here. So that's going to hit for 1 damage. Going to see a PG there as well. We get a draw into our own PG, countercharge on top of that, and then 27 to face pushes to 4. And now we have him in perfect range of the Heavy Duke once again. So pretty good so far. That first game was so fast, you know, unless this game goes on forever and we're just like PGing every single attack, I think that, you know, we're going to probably play a third game for this video because that first one was so fast that I think nobody really expected it. Okay, so he is going to respect his own G-Zone, I suppose, and go for a Legion here again. The Dryon is a little bit annoying because it will push me to 4 no matter what. And he can retire one of my rears, but it doesn't really matter what. Like, all of my rears are super low power, and I can easily replace them too because I have another copy of the Deathblade in hand. So I can kind of like redistribute the power with that. And I don't know, like, I think we're kind of still chilling for this turn. Okay, does he commit the power? Yeah, he has to actually. For this, he has to, because this needs to be 30k. So he's going to be able to actually retire several rears. Does he commit one more card to get the restand off the Laurel? No, he's going to choose not to go for that. Instead, the Laurel is going to exist for the sake of existing, but no retires will happen, which is fine. Which is fine. Alright, so he's coming in with a crit now, so I'm going to go to 4, so he's also setting up for his own Heavy Duke. But of course, like, both Legions are fine, but I just think the, like, draw power is way better from the Sinbuster. So, like, I have ways to kill with the Heavy Duke, so why should I, like, dedicate my Legions to that when the only Legion turn that matters is his first one of just, like, drawing cards and building up resources. So I kind of don't know how I feel about it. Double draw is cool. Drawing into another grade 3 is even cooler, because we do need that in order to have a grade 3 spare to discard for Heavy Duke, because we have to keep that in mind in this matchup. It's very, very important. And we can also play very minimally, like a very minimal game plan here. I think we can even discard the Stride Fodder for this Heavy Duke. I might bait him into thinking I don't have a grade 3. I'll keep the Stride Fodder for later. Alright, so we're going to Heavy Duke. We have plenty of CB to work with, but I don't have a Unibot to do stuff with. We don't get the CC... Oh, speaking of which. But the thing is, we're not in Legion state now, so we don't get the countercharge out of it. So I kind of want to save my CB. I don't need the draw, that's the thing, right? I don't need this draw, because I'm going to be drawing 2... Actually, probably not going to be drawing 2 from this, because it's going to hit the... Like, it's not going to hit the Vanguard, right? He probably has a backup grade 3 in hand. And so right now my hand is 7. If I draw 2, I go to 9, but I'm going to probably PG next turn, so I'm going to draw down anyway. Draw triggers, we have 3 in deck, so they might pop, but honestly, I'm going to assume that they won't. I'm going to assume that they won't. You could also make a point to, like, push power into Vanguard here this turn in order to enforce at least, like, a double heal guard, but I'm going to assume that in a 4-card hand, his hand isn't that plentiful, you know. And you can see, like, the difference in our hand quality, too. Like, I have a hand of 7 after committing a board. My opponent is going to have a hand of 2 now, and that's the difference of Sinbuster, basically. So we force him to discard a PG and a grade 3. That grade 3 might have been his Stride Fodder for this turn too, so we're kind of ahead in that sense, even though it might not be super evident. Okay, he is going into the Stride Step with a Thinking kind of pop-up over there, which tells me that he has some form of Stride Fodder. He's going to 2-card Stride Fodder for his own Heavy Duke, which I definitely respect, because this is probably your only chance to win right now. He's going to have 2 cards that he can put down. Unfortunately, though, by ripping out that 1 card, that means he cannot make use of this Laurel. He can't actually make use of this Laurel, so he's also going to commit a CB for the power increase, which doesn't actually matter. Putting down a heal guard even just to reach my intercepts. So yes, his power will be great, but I think we baited him correctly by making him think like, oh, I don't have a grade 3 anymore, because he even emoted at that. So I think he was like, oh, haha, you know, you don't have a grade 3 anymore to discard. And now he committed that extra CB, which means that unless he heals, he won't be able to get a second Heavy Duke use. And so with that, I think we kind of got into our opponent's head a little bit as well. Man, I get really analytical when I play my favorite decks. That's one thing I've noticed about myself. I like to get extra analytical when it comes to my favorites. Alright, double draw is good. He might have drawn into PG and a grade 3. You know, that might be able to help him survive this turn. But luckily for me, I also had a grade 3 and a PG in my hand, secured and stowed away for this turn as well. Unibot draw is fine, but we're going to just do another Heavy Duke. If we don't win this turn, then, you know, we're going to try to do something with Sinbuster. It might even be worth pushing on the opponent to 5, maybe? I mean, we have double lethal. We don't actually have double lethal, what am I saying? I want to keep the grade 3. So instead, I am going to commit this little bit of power from the Soul Blast onto the Vanguard. Well, it's 31-36. I guess if we commit the power even more, then we are hitting for cool numbers. 3641 does ask for more than double heal guard. So if we get one trigger and give it to the Vanguard, we were going for double heal guard counts. So I think it's fine. The hand is not as plentiful because we didn't get the draw off the Heavy Duke, obviously, but with this could even be game. So we'll see. 36 coming in with the extra crit and the guard restrict, and if we hit a trigger we can get past 2 heal guards, which is very, very good. We don't hit anything, 2 blanks so far, 3rd blank as well, so this might just be guarded, or he's gonna have to take it. Of course, if he heals out of this, we actually get the double draw, which is cool. Then I just tag him to his heal guard and it's fine, but he doesn't get it, and that's going to be game. So again, like, that was a longer one, but you could see like the small decisions in that mirror match were kind of what played it out, and especially like going to Sinbuster instead of the, you know, the whatever the other Legion is, I always forget its name, is basically what decided that from the early game for us. And you can see that lovely 60-point increase. Rank fight week definitely doing us a good favor right now in climbing the ranks quickly. Definitely want to try to push as much as I can while the event is live, because I do want to, you know, get a lot of gems for next month. Feels like we're gonna need it. Alright, it's a Christmas miracle. I'm gonna be giving you a 3rd game against Link Joker. Might be a little bit tricky, but we are playing against, of course, Mr. Ibuki. We haven't gone first at all, I think, which of course is a good thing, but at the same time, I would like to show you what a game looks like going first, because you can really make use of the strengths of this deck with the, like, kind of like early game draw with Sinbuster that I think you're missing out on, you know, by not seeing me go first, but it's fine. Going second is always objectively better. It's just that I wanted to show like a situation, and that's about it. Okay, this hand, we can definitely ride the Stride Fodder again, try to keep as many Metalborgs in our early hand as possible, in case we get rushed here, so we can actually ride up again and do the same thing as game 1, where we just kind of like control the tempo of the game from the very get-go. Whipping a heal outright is not the best thing, but of course if he doesn't give us the early damage here, then we can Legion that back later on, and that is a trigger in the drop zone that we can put back. So it's not too bad, definitely not going to over-complain about that either, so it is okay. Now, for our opponent though, curious what they're going to go for. Arrest or ride hurts. That means there's only 3 arresters left for him to play with. He's not going to rush. I'm sure he's aware that the starter is going to be a little bit problematic. Alright. On our side though, oof, triple Urbuster. I'm getting a little concerned over here. We're going to still ride this though. You could even make a, like, you could make a point that we could commit the good old Yunbot here as well, but I have a double Ballangrator, which means that I can empty out my Soul in Legion next turn very easily, and we can have like all the board control with these Urbusters as well, so I don't feel a need to rush here whatsoever. Like, we can set up a drop zone for Legion, no issues. I'm kind of glad we didn't run into any Vanquishers though. That's definitely a rough matchup. Ooh, my man has the ranked alter egos already? I respect it. Animation on point as always. The Rider kick. The Kamen Rider kick. Alter ego. I like the art. It does look nice. But I don't have my own yet. It's been very busy. Ooh, choosing not to rush. I like that. I do like that line of play. This way he doesn't lose anything from my Urbusters. Theoretically. Now I don't really want to hold off. I do want to draw cards and like set up for my good turns, let's say. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to ride the Ballangrator here. We're going to ride the Ballangrator and not Stride. We don't need to Stride. And then we are going to Candleboss 1, Soulboss 1. Put the Stride Fodder back actually instead of the Grade 2. And search out the Sinbuster here. So that's 2 cards in drop, and we still have 2 more Soul. And we can actually get the Ballangrator out now with the effect of its own card, which is excellent. So we're just going to Soul Blast these 2 out. Gain some power. The power is honestly trivial. It does not matter whatsoever. We're just doing this for the sake of legioning. Do I want an Urbuster here? Not really. I kind of want to hold off on the Urbusters as like good intercepts for later on. Or I guess I could do this. I suppose we can do this, yeah. We do burn a bit of hand here, but it's okay. We're going to draw 2 of them back, so it's okay. Alright, we're going to Legion, putting back 2 triggers, Strike Fodder, and a good grade 2, so it's A-okay. And so with this, we have a nice and strong Sinbuster, but I do want to attack with Vanguard first anyway, just because I want to make sure I am in maximum heal range with 4 heals still in deck. I think that's quite important. So we're going to just basically swing with Vanguard first, see if we get any heals. We're going to double draw here anyway, so that's also very good. So we're going to draw first. The Retire is not going to hit anything, or it will hit, but it won't proc. And so then we get our Twin Drive. We don't have any Stride Fodders, that's like the only concerning thing of like committing this Ballangrator early, but We do have a draw here into a heal guard, which is okay. And with this, we can still push to 4. This way, even if we have to struggle stride for the Heavy Duke, we can still go for it. So, the nice thing about playing against Messiahs is that he's going to front row lock me, but they're intercepts, which means that, like, that's why I also committed this Urbuster, is that, like, if this gets front row locked, that means I'm stuck with it for next turn too. Whereas now with the Urbuster being front row locked, like, that would be my front row next turn too, unless he goes into the Big Crunch, which he can't, so he's going into the Amnesty instead. And I think that the Amnesty plus Alter Ego, I'm personally completely fine with. Let's just put it that way. I am A-okay with everything going on so far. So he's gonna get a big power turn, I think, if he has an Arrestor. No, he's going for the... Okay, he does have an Arrestor, that's good. So Arrestor into Astral Reaper. Arrestor would lock itself, and this will try to lock itself too, and I wonder if he's gonna commit to it or not. Oh, he won't, yeah, because this will swing it to rear, then Arrestor will swing it to Van, and then this will lock, and then the Sacrifice will lock itself too, and then he's gonna swing at me with the bonus crit, which will push me to 5. But that gives me all the CB that I want, and then he will have a form of, you know, multi-attack, I suppose. This is a little bit unfortunate. This is, I think, this is a lock until end of turn, but it's not really that bad. It's just the grade 1 that I've gotten the use out of. It's not even a big power one either. So it's A-okay. We have 2 grade 2s to swing into his 2 grade 2s, and then we're going to swing with the Heavy Duke. Unless he heals, of course, which by saying this, I have jinxed myself, and he will, of course, heal. Alright, that's another Arrestor. Yeah, okay, he did heal. My jinxes never lie. Which means our Heavy Duke will draw. Our Heavy Duke will draw, which is actually okay. So that's perfectly fine. We heal as well, which is good for us. We're going to be on 4 damage now. A PG has gone to Tomato Town, unfortunately. But it's okay. We drew into a Stride Fodder too, which is excellent. There's no weird guard restricts in Messiahs to worry about, so we just go into Heavy Duke here and have ourselves a great old time. Alright, you know, just like the holidays. It's a great old time for the friends and family involved. And with this, we have double intercept front row, which you can, of course, Big Crunch can do stuff about, but I'm not really particularly worried as we go into the battle phase and we get to swing at both of them. He has a 4-card hand, doesn't get the draw from anything, whereas me, I'm going to have a 7-card hand minimum after this battle, which is excellent. So don't need to commit too much power on this turn either, because you essentially just, you get so much from just swinging and hitting. So now we're like 6-card hand, going to go up to 8. Okay, now it's going to go up to 9, because we're hitting double draws. Never mind, we're going to overdraw, but I don't think it's an option to use the effect, so it is going to proc and draw me cards, but please don't overdraw PG. Fuck, heal is bad too. Heal is just as annoying, but it's okay. We have only 1 PG and 1 heal guard in hand among all these amazing cards. The triple draw was definitely not planned, let's just say. Definitely was not expecting that. The heal would have been better staying in the deck. Theoretically though, do we have any Simbusters left in deck? No, we don't. What that means is once we're out of CB, we can go into Medu and get the Sinbuster back from our drop, ride it, Legion back these heals. I think that sounds pretty okay hand emoji. I think that sounds pretty okay hand emoji to me. Alright, time for the fake locks. That of course unlock at the start of my battle. But will he commit the grade 2s for me to swing into? Or not? Let's find out. Alright, Sacrifice being used for the countercharge and the bonus self-lock here as well. Does he have his 4th Arrestor? That's what he needs in order to make multi-attacks, otherwise a Awaking Messiah will help. He doesn't have Awaking either. Oh, so he's only going to unlock 2 then, so he won't get the crit. So he's just swinging like regular numbers, regular power. No intercept, which is not bad. It means I have to commit a grade 1 behind like this Urbuster now, like overcall this card. A Stride Fodder going to damage is also not the best, but it's also like not the worst. He can also choose not to unlock everything. He unlocked my intercept, that's interesting. So the reason why I say that is like he could have unlocked 1 because the crit doesn't actually matter. But, well, he doesn't know that, but like if he unlocked 1, he would have also been able to use the GB2 Alter Ego skill, which now he can. But I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. Another PG has been found. Dead in Lego City. Crazy, dude. Okay, I think we just go for maximum kill potential here. Discarding the Balance Grader. Yeah, just try to go for game here, to be honest. Like, put down the grade 1s to push good numbers and then swing. I think it should be good. I think we should be good. Alright, this is gonna come down here. And we're gonna use... we don't have soul, so I have to be careful about that. I guess we put this down without using skill, because it's a waste to use a skill here. So what we're going to do is swing with this rear first to ask for a Heal Guardian. PG! Okay, then I think we got game. I think in this case, I will break through the 6 damage heals by getting rid of both PGs first. So attack order is actually very important here. And with this, he has to have another PG and a grade 3 in hand in order to protect himself. But as he called down 2 alter egos, I'm assuming he doesn't. Might have been a misplay to do that, by the way, but you never know. Alright, let's see. No heal guards in hand, that's for sure. And it's a hit, so this is going to be 2 damage. Double 6 damage heal is required, and he doesn't even have 1. So it's going to be game. Alright, so 3 good games with Metalborgs. I hope I was able to show you the power of this deck. I think it's very strong, and I think Tomini is the best girl, #1 wife in the galaxy. So yeah, Metalborgs are fun, honestly, really strong deck. I recommend climbing with it. As you can see, we just busted through 2 legends thanks to the rank fight week in a row with this deck, so it's really, really good. It's really fun. I personally really enjoy playing the deck a lot more than I expected. Like, I did main the deck back then, you know, back in the day when this deck first came out in the TCG, which was, of course, in the Fighters Collection as well, with all the support. But you also played Daikaiser in this deck too, so that was kind of like a different functionality. The list looked very different, actually, in the TCG, but Heavy Duke is still quite a memorable card for me because he did a lot for me way back when, and Metalborgs, of course, are also super strong and very good. So look forward to this deck when you guys get Fighters Collection. It's a really, really fun deck, and I hope you guys enjoy too. But yeah, that's basically it for today. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave a like if you did. If you haven't already, please also subscribe to the channel to show your support. And if you want to check me out, Twitter, you know, Twitch, all the other socials in the description below, so make sure you give me a follow over there if you are interested. But otherwise, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.